so many stupid things, and I was like, what's wrong with me, you know? But I never thought of it could be related to that, because I always heard these things. So yeah, maybe it's psychology, you're stressed and blah, blah, blah. In the past few months, it got so much better. Then I feel the differences between the parts of the menstrual cycle. Like I feel when I have ovulation, I feel when I have luxuation, I feel when people forgot to trust their eyes. They don't trust their eyes anymore. You know, they think they say, okay, this guy is vegetarian, so he's healthy. But then look at how he looks. Or I know another guy, he looks very good. He's on the carnivore diet. He looked horrible when he was vegan. Like really, there was a glow up like crazy from that really big difference. And there are people saying, but it's so bad to eat meat. It's so unhealthy. I mean, just use your eyes. Look at him. How he looks before and now. Like I don't use any skincare products or anything. Makeup actually ruined my skin when I was younger. And since I started wearing makeup because I was mentally ill and I thought I'm extremely ugly, so I started putting makeup on to make myself even more ugly. When I stopped wearing makeup, it feels so clean. Like having makeup on is so dirty. I cannot imagine, you know, a man coming to a woman, touching the skin, and then having pieces of things on his hands.
Thank you.
That's so disgusting.
Please listen to her, especially women. This is my opinion, okay? I really find makeup unattractive. Whenever I see it, it's just an immediate turn off for me. So please, I'm pretty sure there are many other men out there who think exactly like me.
And then they're so surprised that their child looks like has a recessed skin and he's just ugly. So sad, because you cannot change that ever after if you really have a bad jaw. Like
I think that you can actually. I have a video coming out on that. I have seen examples of people turning from looking like a 3 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. I know it sounds absolutely insane, but I do think that it's possible. There is no such thing as an unattractive cow. There's no unattractive birds. There's no unattractive deer, no unattractive lion. They don't exist. And why don't they exist? Because they developed correctly. In today's interview, I have somebody very interesting. Her name is Meaty Bunny, or otherwise known as, can you pronounce her real name?
Szczepanka Forejtova is like, it's easy to say Stephanie, okay?
All right, Stephanie, there we go. I could not quite pronounce that. So Stephanie today is going to talk about her experience, and not only are we going to talk about her experience, we're also going to talk a little bit about the science behind it, and as well as the lifestyle things that, once again, many people are interested in over and over again, like the showering, brushing teeth, sleeping on the floor. There's actually a couple others that I did not cover yet in my future videos, though, but I will. So first off, Stephanie, please tell us, how exactly did you start becoming carnivore, or what made you start carnivore?
Well, it was my boyfriend who came with that. I met him it's like 2 years ago, and I was vegan back then, actually. I don't really like to say I was vegan, because when I talked to Bart K, he made a very truthful claim, and but you were never vegan, ever, because yes, I was vegan for always like a period of time, like a month, the longest. I was never able to do it longer, so it was just, you know, a vegetarian, vegan, and like that constantly. But I didn't eat meat for a long time, which is, I would say, around 8 years at least, which is from my short life, very, very long time. Because I stopped eating meat when I was like 10, then I ate it very rarely in very small quantities, and when I was like 13, I stopped completely. So the only thing I ate was dairies a lot, to be honest, when I was vegetarian. But eggs, I never also really ate them, maybe sometimes, but I don't really eat them that much. So the only thing that was fluctuating was the dairy in and dairy out, you know, in my diet. But yeah, for a long period of time, I was that way. And to be honest, it wasn't really from the reason that I would think it's very healthy or anything, that it's the way humans should eat, that humans are herbivores. I was never really into the science ever in my life before I went carnivore. And then my boyfriend came with that, and I was like, oh, that's bullshit. That's just stupid. You have to eat vegetables. It's so important. All the experts say that you have to eat them. And then, he kept explaining himself, and I was like, wait, but I have nothing to say on that. There was no argument to it. I was like, fuck. So I started looking into it. Actually, most people don't do it. It just goes in and out the other way, and they just don't care at all, which
Yep.
I did, because again, I was quite upset that I couldn't argue with him about it, because he was just so right, and I was like, what the fuck. So I started looking into it, and what I found was, I remember the first video was by Anthony Chaffee, just the basics about carnivore. I was like, it makes sense, it makes sense. So I again started digging more and more. I talked about it with my boyfriend, and actually already in like a week or actually like in a month, actually, since we knew each other, I said, okay, I'm gonna add meat in my diet. And I wasn't fully carnivore. I just ate vegetable, fruit, and meat. That was my diet for 1 week. And then so many things changed in that 1 week that I was like, I'm gonna just take everything out, and I'm just gonna go fully carnivore. And it was really amazing that within the 14 days, basically all the problems that I had, actually, like the worst problems I had, were away, and I was kind of healthy, not completely, but you know what I mean. So I was clear from these problems, which was mostly, like, the biggest issue was that I had very bad stomach pain for like a year, like really bad. And I was coming to, these, I don't know how you call these, but, to the doctors, and I had to wait for months to even get there. And they just told me, oh, maybe you're lactose intolerant. And I was like, yeah, I'm vegan. My tummy hurts, but I'm lactose intolerant. Okay, thank you. And there were, so many stupid things. And I was like, what's wrong with me, But I never thought of it could be related to that, because I always heard these things. So yeah, maybe it's psychology, you're stressed and blah blah blah, and then it just stopped, and I was like, what? After a year it stopped. That's amazing. Also acne, I didn't really have any like cystic acne, crazy acne on my face ever, but I had like very harsh skin, with these blue on it, these small, and and I had eczema, like very bad eczema. That was also one of the worst things, because it was very annoying. It was so itchy, and I couldn't sleep sometimes because it was really bad. And that also healed, and I was like, wow, okay, that's great, that's amazing. So I'm gonna stick to it, and I stick to it I was very strict carnivore for, I would say, 6 months or so back then. And after that period of very strict, I didn't even eat dairies. I just ate butter. That was the only dairy I ate. And sometimes some cheese, but that was rare. But usually it was only meat. And after that time, when I ate anything, like just one apple or something, the eczema would come back the same day. So that was crazy to me, Like, sometimes I eat fruit nowadays in small quantities because I'm kind of used to it. But actually, I would never say it's good, like Paul Saladino or something,
Yeah.
Like, it's fine to eat honey, it's fine to eat fruit. That's stupid. It's definitely not fine, because fructose is very toxic, like very toxic. And it's the most toxic sugar. It's much more toxic than glucose. So, I mean, it's not good, but if you want to eat it in small quantities, whatever. But I would never say it's good, But I remember really after the strict carnivore, it was so bad when I ate anything. Then I fucked it up a bit, and after that I started again, like really strictly. And as I said, now it's mostly meat. Actually, now I eat mostly raw meat, because it fills me better. I feel much better. I need much less food than on the cooked carnivore, and it just feels so much better, and it tastes better. Just everything is so much better about it. I'm not saying eating only cooked meat is bad, but me personally, I just feel good.
I'm curious, how did you come across the raw meat? Did anybody inspire you for the raw meat thing in particular, or no?
Well, my boyfriend used to watch a Goatis. You know him, no? Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. I
Yeah,
knew it.
he didn't watch him because of the diet advice, because he's kind of misinformed when it comes to this. But mostly because just entertaining the way he speaks, and his live videos on Rumble and so on. But that was kind of the time when I started thinking about it, and I never really had an issue with eating it. I just didn't really like it at first. But slowly I was getting into it, and actually now I like it much more. I just think that people are not used to eating that meat. That's why they don't really like it. But if you, yeah, I don't believe that anyone can be like repulsed by raw meat. Like that would be really disgusting to him. I don't think so. It may be some of his idea, or I don't know, a bad experience or something. But otherwise, I don't think it's the case. I just think that people are not used to it, so they find it weird, and they're afraid of the parasites and of the bacteria, so they don't eat it. But if you start eating it, and the way I started was that I just started to make my steaks more and more raw. I had like fully cooked, then medium, rare, blue, and then completely raw. And then I started eating with some like creamy cheese, with the meat. That was also very good. But now I can eat like minced meat. In the beginning, I wouldn't have eaten it. Also, the consistency was a bit like, I didn't like it. But but now I really like it. Actually, I ordered like 8 kilos of meat now from a grass-fed farm, and actually from the Netherlands, no. And
Netherlands. Whoa,
yeah,
whoa, Netherlands. I lived in Groningen.
I
Wait,
know, I know.
you know Groningen? Wait, are you in Holland as well?
I'm next to Holland right now, but I'm not from Holland. I'm not
Oh,
from
okay.
this country.
Okay,
I
okay.
just live here now because my boyfriend lives here. So
Wow. No, that actually got me really curious because you said Holland, and I was like, I lived in Groningen before. So, okay, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So, but there is one more thing that is interesting, and I really like to talk about it in the past, I don't know, months. Is that before I had very bad issues with my periods, because like long time before, when I was like 12, I had anorexia, and then all the journey with mental issues and other eating disorders, bulimia, and all that crap. It came after, and basically when I was anorexic, I lost my period completely, and I didn't have it for some time, for a few years, and then I gained lots of weight, like a lots of weight. I think, yeah, I went from I in the span of 3 years, I went from 42 kilos to 78.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was crazy. And basically, when I with my boyfriend, I was above 70, 100%. And then I lost like 16 kilograms in the span of 6 months on the carnivore diet.
Whew.
So, yeah. And actually, without working out, I don't personally work out like not every day, going to the gym or something. I don't do that. So it was just about the diet. And what I wanted to say with the period, so I had horrible cramps after I got my period back. It was horrible, really. I was able to just lay in one position in my legs, exactly in 90 degrees angle. Otherwise, it was horrible. I even fainted a few times almost. It was really bad, and it wasn't the same every month. It was very long, some it was short, and so on. And when I went to the carnivore diet, I stopped having the cramps, that for sure. Like I still feel it, but it's not any annoying or something. And now in the past few months, it got so much better. Than I literally feel the differences between the parts of the menstrual cycle. Like I feel when I have ovulation, I feel when I have luxuation, I feel when blah blah blah. So that is, I think, an extremely amazing thing, because I don't think most women ever feel that. They just look in the calendar like, okay, I'm in ovulation, but they don't know that, they don't feel it. But I do feel it, and that I think is very interesting, because that came after a long time of more than a year of carnivore. So it was like the last thing that changed, I would say.
So I'm sort of curious if a woman were to ask you if carnivore would help me with my PMS pain or the cramps or any of that. Do you think that it can get rid of all of that completely, or what would you say? What would you say to her?
Well, it depends what exactly is her issue, but I would say yes, especially in young women, 100%. Because then when you're older, there can be some already like kind of damaged things. It depends what's your state of health. But when you're young, I believe you can always change that by diet. And actually, I had a client. Well, she didn't pay me or anything. It was before I became a nutrition advisor. But still, it was a girl who had PCOS, and she came to me. We talked about it. I explained it to her, all the mechanism, blah blah blah. She was like, "Wow, that really makes sense." And then she went carnivore. And after 2 months, first of all, she lost like 10 kilos in like 3 months. And after 2 months, she got her period back. So, and she had PCOS. So I believe that definitely if you have just cramps, 100% you're gonna, I'm not saying I never feel it. It never hurts. It does, especially when the period is, let's say, stronger than other times. But it's never as annoying as so many girls have it, that they have to take the pill and lay down, and it doesn't make my life difficult. So
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Do you take iodine at all or no?
no,
No?
I don't
Okay.
take any supplements. No.
Okay. I was just curious because I've noticed. Well, I guess once again we'll go to a personal experience thing. For everybody out there, I have mentioned this in some of my videos, although it was in the review videos. Iodine definitely does, from my experience, seem to play a role when it comes to hormone synthesis, and I experienced this firsthand because I noticed basically similar erections to that of puberty when a man is in puberty, which I found that very interesting. So that would definitely mean there is something related there to hormones. And for anybody out there, once again, I only advocate two things actually. If you don't get the results that you're seeing out of carnivore, I recommend iodine, and I recommend another one, which that'll be in a future video. Yes, that's a cliffhanger for anybody out there. So now this is the part where, once again, most people are interested, and that is the lifestyle habits. Yes. Now, do you have any interesting lifestyle habits, Stephanie, that you would say you'd like to share?
Well, I have a few. I don't know if they're as crazy as you have, but I do not use shampoo or any soap except for like, it's a natural soap. It actually even smells bad, but I use it for my hands, and sometimes if I do exercise or I do something like that. But otherwise, I definitely do not use shampoo. Even though I can say I understand if people don't want to not use shampoo in countries where the water is very hard, because then the hair looks kind of bad. But that's the reason why I use rye flour instead. To a bit with water, I make a paste from it, and that cleans it well. The only bad thing is then to rinse it. It's very, very annoying because the pieces stay there constantly. You have to rinse more and more and more. But I remember when I was in Scotland, just for a vacation, I was there in a campsite, and they had the water, the natural water from there, somewhere from the mountains. That was amazing. I've never had such beautiful hair in my life, and I use no shampoo. That was really amazing. So if you get good supply of water or even rainwater, and you're somewhere in a village or something, definitely I would use that only, because I really remember how amazing it felt even on my body. Because now when I shower, I kind of feel sometimes like I came in the shower cleaner than I came out. Like it feels bad on the body, but what can I do? Well, you would say I don't have to shower, right? But uh, but I haven't came to that stage yet, so.
So I'm curious. You said that you were a little interested earlier in that whole not showering thing. Well, do you have any questions for me on that end?
Well, I was thinking, so I would understand if you were in nature, you were naked, running in the forest or something. but you have the clothes, and especially in that area, and then you sweat, and I just don't get it. Or okay, it's true that on the carnivore diet we don't have a toilet paper. Okay, that's also another thing. We don't have a toilet paper at home. So because really on the carnivore diet you don't need to wipe your butt after you take a shit. So the only thing I do is that I shower after. And also because on the carnivore diet you go to excrete your waste very, very little times. You don't do it often because you don't eat fiber, so you don't shit like a cow. You don't go there 5 times a day. I actually, but really, I swear, I used to go to the toilet 5 times a day when I was vegan. Sometimes I swear I did. That was crazy, and I thought it's so healthy because everyone says it's so healthy, but it's horrible when you think about it. You eat something that you excrete anyway. Why would you do it, right? So yeah, so that's true, but still, that's in my head. Like, what do you? How come it stays okay?
So this one, okay, which part in particular? Do you mean the front part or the back part?
Like both.
Both. Okay. So this is something very interesting from my experience. Once again, this comes. I don't necessarily know when the effects start to become more pronounced, but for I don't know. Have you ever seen a dog sniff another dog's ass, basically?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, right? Yeah. I think something along those lines starts to happen when it comes to humans as well, or at least from my experience. And the reason is because when I'm like this and my armpits, basically my arms are like next to me or something like this, the smell isn't necessarily super pronounced. But all it takes is for me to lift the armpit and immediately, especially women for that matter, will notice, which is very, very interesting. And I know this because this is a very strange experience. About 2 years in of doing this, and once I was carnivore as well during that time, there was this one girl, and she was a friend of a friend, and we were basically talking, and I'm pretty open for the most part about not showering. Like, I don't really care. And the reason is because when I get to know somebody and then they actually start asking me questions, I just don't tell them that I don't shower, and they have no clue about it. In fact, they're always next to me, and they have no clue that I haven't showered. So I eventually told her, and she was in disbelief at first. She was like, "What? There's no way." So I'm like, "Yeah, you can go ahead, smell me again, because you already were next to me." So she smells me, and then eventually my arms are a little bit like this. This arm was like this at the time because I was on a chair. And she noticed, and she went, "Oh, wait, there's something there." So I lifted up my arm. She smelled it, and it was a little bit weird. She kind of got turned on by it, from what I'm aware of, and she's like, "Oh, wow, that smells like a man." And I found that very interesting because it sort of reminded me of like a dog sniffing another dog's ass. As weird as weird as that is, if you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah. Okay.
I thought about that, and then afterwards, the friend of that friend, the guy, also was sort of curious at this point. He was like, "What the hell, really?" So now he comes over and smells, and then he's like, "Oh wow, it sort of really does." So I was kind of confused, and I was like, "What is going on?" I didn't really understand it at first. They did not smell the bottom part, so they only smelled the top. They only smelled the top part. But the bottom part doesn't actually smell, oddly enough, at all. Well, okay, here's what I will say. I have had intimate actions, I guess you could say, with another woman during this entire time, and they actually liked that smell a lot. So that was sort of interesting. It doesn't necessarily come out that hard, if that's the best way of putting it. But they didn't have any single problem during the entire interaction. Happened multiple times. So I don't know what exactly is going on there, but I sort of think about that, and I look at that and I go, I don't know how this is working, but my assumption is that I don't know if it's carbohydrates. I don't know if it's inflammation. I don't know what it is that causes that smell. It could even, for that matter, be the constant exposure or removal of lipids. It could be damage to the microbiome. There are many things that I think can contribute to the smell, because I do know that bacteria in the process, when they're kind of like angry, or that's the simple way of putting it, when they're threatened, I guess, they can sometimes just release off products in order to protect themselves. So that could quite literally be part of the smell thing and why it might smell very bad, but not entirely sure. So yeah, that's my there you go. Now you have my not showering experience. For anybody out there, once again, who's interested, more details on that.
Okay.
So what do you have any other lifestyle things that are sort of interesting or that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I have more. Another thing is that I don't have any synthetic clothes. I have only cotton clothes. I actually make most of it myself though, but
Whoa.
it's linen or like this I made myself. And
Whoa. That's
uh
hard. Oh my god.
yeah, or leather. I have leather shoes, leather belts, leather bags, and so on. I don't use makeup at all. I don't use any skincare except for some oils like tallow that I bought some time ago. So yeah, I don't use any skincare products or anything. Makeup actually ruined my skin when I was younger. So I've never had any skin issues, even when I was very malnourished. I just had dark eye circles, but not any acne or anything like that. And since I started wearing makeup because I was mentally ill and I thought I'm extremely ugly, so I started putting makeup on to make myself even more ugly. No, but really, I when I stopped wearing makeup, it feels so clean. Like having makeup on is so dirty. I cannot imagine, a man coming to a woman, touching the skin, and then having pieces of things on his hands.
Thank you.
That's so
Thank you.
disgusting.
Thank you.
And then
For anybody out there, please listen to her, especially women. This is my opinion, okay? I really find makeup unattractive. Whenever I see it, it's just an immediate turn off for me. So please, everybody out there, I'm pretty sure there are many other men out there who think exactly like me. Please listen to
also,
her.
when you go to the when you go outside and it's the sun is shining and then it's shining on the skin of the woman who has the powder on her, it seems like a wall. Why are you doing it? Like, okay, if you have I don't know, if you're unhealthy and you get acne and you just want to cover, I don't know, some red spots, whatever, but why? Because it really looks ugly. Like, and when I see, I saw so many videos of these women putting makeup and having the video of like, yeah, I'm so ugly before and now I look so beautiful. Actually, they look much better before they put the makeup on. Even though they try to make themselves look ugly, they put the hair uglily and whatever. They still look better without it than with the makeup. So really, and especially considering, first of all, like the physical thing that you stuff some, I don't know, some toxic thing on your skin to clog the pores. That's one horrible thing. And then the endocrine disruptors in it that goes right directly in your skin. That's another thing. So it's not just about how it looks, but it's also about your health. What I don't understand the most is that women wear makeup, like heavy makeup, when they have children, when they're pregnant. That's crazy to me. Like, why do you do it even? Why do you even do it when you have a man already? When you're pregnant, you probably have a man. So why are you doing it? Like, are you trying to impress someone else, or what's going on there, And they would say, oh, I'm doing it for myself. But then you don't like yourself, so try to like make something, try to do something with it. Actually, I don't feel the need to wear makeup, and I haven't felt the need to do it since I lost all the weight and I just cured everything, because you just feel so much better in your body. You feel so healthy, so clean, so good that you don't feel the need to do such things. You don't feel the need to buy the newest fashion and Gucci bags and shoes and all that stuff, because you just feel so good just like that, how you are. So yeah, I think it's like coping a bit that these women are very, either they're like mentally ill, or and even though they look good, they feel that they don't look good, or they actually really don't look good because they're fat or whatever. Now fat shaming, yeah, okay. So yeah. Then I used to sleep on the floor too. Um
Whoa.
yeah.
Okay,
But
anybody out there? This is a really crazy one. I'm interested. Please.
I used to sleep on the floor just on, I had like a carpet that is made of cotton too. So I just slept on that. Now I do sleep on a bed because I just have it, so I do. But if I had to choose between buying a bed or having no bed, I would choose having no bed. It's just that I have the bed, so I sleep in it, but otherwise I don't.
Wow. I
I
am
think it's a waste
already
of money
amazed.
though. I don't know.
Wait, tell me when was the last time you slept on the floor then?
Like 2 months ago.
2 months ago. Wow. That is very okay. Well, this is for anybody out there, once again, who hasn't seen the Wolf's Law video and why exactly I sleep on the floor. The reason I actually sleep on the floor has to do more so with bone density. And this is basically related to making your bones quite literally stronger. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen human skulls back in the day, but human skulls, especially male skulls for that matter, actually had bones that were much farther out. Basically, this part was way out here. And that's actually what gives the attractive look. And literally, the difference between a quote unquote a Chad and a sub 5 is literally just a few millimeters of bone. And one has to do with tongue posture. That's a really big one. Anybody out there who hasn't seen that, I talk about that. Two, it also has to do with basically how dense this bone is during development as well, which you can, by the way, if you didn't already know, this is part of the reason you can sleep on the floor and increase the process. You're actually exposing yourself to pressure constantly. And not only that, if you will notice that your bones, specifically your hips and your rib cage, become solid sleeping on the floor. Like so solid, you wouldn't even believe how comfortable the floor becomes. And then you slowly transition back to your bed and then you'll realize like, wow, there's a really big difference. So anybody out there, this is literally just because of bone density. You are increasing bone density significantly, very, very significantly. And I know this because I've tested with a masseuse. What I basically did was I asked the masseuse to basically trample me while during the massage and seeing how much of the pressure I could take on my rib cage. And it was perfectly fine. The fact that I couldn't do it before and then after, it's much better. So something there, obviously. Once again, very, very interesting. Anybody out there who hasn't tried it, I recommend it. You can also stimulate this exact same process through other means. You can stimulate bone density growth through just pressure in general or increasing gravity, which you can't do. I don't think anybody has control of the force of gravity. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so that is one, sleeping on the floor and showering. Do you have anything on brushing your teeth by any chance?
Well, I do not use fluoride toothpaste.
Okay.
So I only use natural toothpaste. I don't brush my teeth like every day, twice a day or something. And actually, when I was at the dentist, she was like, "Oh, you have such a beautiful teeth," and and I was in my head like, "Yeah, and I don't wash them like every day, like you always say." Basically, that's it. I now sadly have a toothbrush that is okay. The handle is wooden, but otherwise it's horrible. Obviously, what I would like to find is these toothbrushes with boar hair in it instead of the plastic hair. But there are also other options. I know because I know that some. I think it's in Africa and Asia or something. They use some kind of wood that they chew or something, and then it helps them to take the cover of the teeth out and so on. But I don't think like brushing the teeth is like extra important if you eat the proper human diet, because in nature no one brushes their teeth, right? But it's still like when you look at animals, they don't have really like extremely wide, beautiful teeth as it's a standard nowadays, let's say. Um, I don't believe you would stink if you didn't brush your teeth, like from your mouth. But I do believe that you can get a bit wider teeth. Then the question if it's actually healthier, I don't know. But I have good genes on teeth, so I'm happy about that. Because yeah, my grandma, my other family members from my dad's side, they all have. I'm not saying like beautiful teeth, but even though they eat garbage their whole life completely. They still, my grandma is 80 and she still has all of her teeth like fine, you know. So that's also a good thing. But otherwise, I'm not really surprised if someone just doesn't brush his teeth on the carnivore diet, because I get it. And it's actually quite kind of annoying to brush teeth. So
Exactly. That's literally my favorite part about not brushing my teeth. Is literally just the fact that I don't have to remember before I go to bed. That's like probably the best thing for that matter. I don't have to remember, oh my God, I need to brush my teeth or something like that. So yeah, that was, in my opinion, that's my best experience when it comes to not brushing my teeth. Honestly, it's amazing.
You know, I was wondering, why is it the stereotype that children hate it, like they detest brushing their teeth so much? I remember, you know, I was a very good child, very good girl. I never cried like a lot when I was small or anything. But what I did always, like a scene every day when my dad was supposed to brush my teeth. I would go crazy. I would be hysterical, screaming, crying, whatever kind of thing, just to not get my teeth brushed. So I wonder why is that, you know? Because also another stereotype is that parents forced feed broccoli and other garbage to their children's throat. The children know why they don't want to eat that shit. They know it, but they cannot say it, you know? Like, and you know, actually, that's another thing. You talked about the bones and the bone density and so on. There is one thing about the bone structure of the face, because also when I looked at the skulls, they didn't have crooked teeth before the agricultural revolution. They had much bigger jaws, which also makes the face look attractive when the man has like a wide face. And there are many factors to it, because one of them is that women don't breastfeed their children either at all or for a very short period of time, because then they have to go to work and make their career instead of breastfeeding their child, and then they give it, you know, that the formula. I actually found out in many of them there is soy protein. That's really amazing, right? You give it to your child. There is there is even castor oil in it, and other things. I looked in my country, so and that's like the bestseller of it there. So, and that's what they give to their child, so that contributes to the development of the skull. And another thing is that they are fed just, you know, mashed things. Even if when they went even if they even if they start eating solid food, like solid food, it's like pasta or something. You don't have to chew it. Almost, they need to get meat, you know. And if they don't, they just get this slop in the jar that the woman cannot even fucking cook. Like, why don't you even cook it? You go to the store to buy this slop in the jar, you put it in the microwave, and then just stuff it in the throat of the child. And then they're so surprised that their child looks like has a recessed skin and he's just ugly. I mean, obviously. And there, as I said, there are many factors to it, but this is one of the things that is so sad, because you cannot change that ever after, if you really have a bad jaw. Like,
I think that you can actually. I have a video coming out on that. I'm testing it on
really,
myself right now. I've seen some results. I've seen some scary results
but
actually.
it's not
Literally,
like a big result, you know.
it's not a big result yet, but I have seen many
Okay.
examples though. I have seen examples of people turning from looking like a 3 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. I know it sounds absolutely insane, but I do think that it's possible. There are some ways to speed it up, but I do think that it is possible. I know that it's possible because there are examples out there. I just don't know how to speed up the process, but I am testing. I am testing on myself right now.
Okay.
So we will.
Yeah, but it's like the, I would say, more difficult thing to change, because if
You
you just
much.
want to lose weight, or I don't know, lose your acne or things like
Yeah.
that, that's easy. But this is more, and also if you already are like if you have very bad face structure, then I would say, I don't know, I don't think you can ever become like 8 out of 10, you know. If you have like an okay one and then improve it, maybe, but I don't
I
know.
think I'll eventually, I will probably get a client who I can change from a 3 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out
Okay,
of 10,
I'm
maybe
curious
even a
about it.
10.
But that would be great, though. That would be great. Like that would, because I think for man, that's kind of a bad thing that they feel bad about, if because, as I said, it's not mostly talked about that it can be changed, and it's kind of hopeless, then
I
like you
think
can
women
change
can do it as
things, but
well.
this, yeah, I'm curious because that would be great actually. That would be great because for women, most of the issues they have is like they're fat, they have, I don't know, acne and I don't know, eczema, bad hair. That all can be fixed quite easily. But this is a thing that it doesn't really matter if a woman is small or she doesn't have a white face or something. But for the man, it's important. So that would be really great if it was possible. So I'll keep watching your channel to see if you
Eventually,
get
I will
something.
have videos on that. By the way, anybody who's wondering, it'll be called the bone remodeling playlist, which I will talk about many, many things, as well as the things I'm doing in order to speed up this whole process of face changing. I actually have seen some results. My biggest or most obvious indicator of results and seeing results is the bottom of my teeth are maloccluded a little bit, and I have actually managed to make them unmaloccluded and basically start spreading apart more, which I was not expecting, by the way, at all. That only happened within 10 days, by the way. But I will say it takes a lot of force. You have to apply Wolf's Law to the extreme. You have to really be pushing. There is actually already dental devices out there that can do this, or they do it sort of well. I don't think that they cause a little bit of damage in the process. But regardless, this is once again a very, very interesting field. And yes, for any of those people who are 3 out of 10, who are sub 5 and looking to be Giga Chad or whatever you want to call it, I do really think it is possible. And I have seen many examples in the past. I think your face developed correctly, by the way. I can see part of it. Quick question. Where is your tongue right now?
Down.
It's down. Really? Oh my God. That means you could probably be more attractive. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. Well, that's another story then. Oh my God.
But it's from my family because my granddad, like, he was very small. Okay, I'm also very small. He was very small, but his face really, I've never seen such a good looking guy. Like, rarely. He was really good looking. His face was extremely well developed. So I think it's from that side though. Because my dad also, it's a bit worse, but like less pronounced, but still he has a good face. So I think it's from that side, definitely.
Yeah, because you can really see the cheekbones, like
Yeah.
really, really obvious. Oh, I guess we could just talk about that. So, for anybody out there who's wondering what like regular faces should sort of look like, she is sort of a good example. Although there are some other examples that you can look at in today's day and age, which is the Samburu tribe. And quite literally,
Yeah,
the only difference between basically the Samburu tribe and her, there's almost none. It's actually very, very similar for that matter. You will literally see the cheekbones. The cheekbones are very, very well defined, and the jawline is very well defined. Depending on whether or not they are man or woman, that can also affect the eye structure, basically how pronounced the eyes are. So if the eyes look more so like hunter eyes, or whether or not they look like bug eyes. By the way, God, nobody wants bug eyes. For anybody out there who hasn't seen bug eyes, vegans can usually develop this. They will usually get bug eyes because one, they're eating incorrectly, and two, they're causing inflammation. So that'll cause one, the maxilla to basically droop downwards, which will make the eye tilt a little bit out. And not only that, they will cause so much inflammation that some of them are a little bit more reactive, especially, oh man, there's just one vegan doctor that I reviewed who is a great example of that. And you can even see his eyes literally just bulging out. It looks like prey eyes. It's
yeah, yeah. That's horrible. Like, just look at Indians.
Ooh.
They have been vegan or vegetarian for so long already. Most of the people there eat, if some, then very little meat. They have so much. Their definition of these popped up eyes. But it's actually great that you can look at the differences because I actually found a study that was interesting. I found that when I looked in the history, because I looked in the history of the human diet, if there is any evidence, blah, blah, blah. And there was a part of where they found skulls and bones and fossil findings of people living in the area of Indus River, so in India. And these people were at the time, which was I would say now, but maybe I'm lying, but I think it was like 30,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago. And these people were the tallest of the founding, of the findings from that period. In India were the tallest. Now they're one of the smallest. And then they started to eat, because actually Indians had very old society. They're like yeah, society basically. And they started to eat all these grains and rice mainly with curry. And then it just went to this. Instead of, I'm not saying they're no good looking Indians, but when you look at the average there, it's just, but it's so obvious that it's from the diet, because then you can look at, again, some Buru tribe. They're so good looking, like, even though they're black, and me as a white person, I'm not really interested in that, but okay, let's put that aside. Still, their facial structure is so good. Really, I watched a documentary about them, a guy who went there to live with them for some time. And there was a guy, I remember, just at the back of the video, his face was like, it was enormous. I was like, what is that? That was so big, the jaws, like, so straight, and wow, really. So, and that's so obvious that it's the diet. So yeah, I think that's interesting when you can compare the cultures, actually. And then there was one more tribe that was funny, because we watched. There was, apparently, it was supposed to be about a tribe that eats other humans, that will eat you when you come there. But they
Oh,
didn't find them.
again.
They found another tribe. And I firstly thought, okay, is that the tribe? Because these people they had bellies like this, in the forest. They looked really, like, really bad. I was like, wait a minute. These cannot be, meat eaters. That makes no sense. And then I found out these people literally ate trees. They came to a tree, and then, shredded the bark to something like flour. They mixed it with water, made bread, and ate. That was only thing that they ate. I was like, that's the reason. So and that's so funny that people forgot to trust their eyes. They don't trust their eyes anymore. They think, they say, okay, this guy is vegetarian, so he's healthy. But then look at how he looks. Or I know another guy, he looks very good. He's on the carnivore diet. He looked horrible when he was vegan. Like, really, there was a glow up like crazy from that. Really big difference. And there are people saying, but it's so bad to eat meat. It's so unhealthy. I mean, just use your eyes. Look at him. How he look before and now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Oh my God. Yeah. For anybody out there, once again, my personal opinion of all of this is attractive isn't attractive. Attractive is just normal. The more unattractive you are, the more abnormal that you became. So basically, for instance, you get exposed. Epigenetic changes could really make a difference in terms of your facial attractiveness. So, for instance, they could really play a big difference in how big this part is as a man. Because if you look at prehistoric skulls, I have a video coming out on this. You look at the prehistoric skull before and after the agricultural revolution, it is massively, massively different. And you will see a huge difference when it comes to this part, basically the cheekbones being protruded outwards, especially for men. I mean, it is so, so pronounced that if you look at some of the male models today, they are literally the only difference. In fact, they're not even as attractive as they could be because of so many epigenetic changes, I think. But there is one example out there. I can't really remember his name, but I'll remember him eventually. He is probably one of the best examples of the closest thing that humans used to look like. And my God, his face, it's so obvious how bulging this part is outwards. And he was on a lot of TV show hosts and all that sort of stuff. And he is probably the best example, in my opinion, of what a regular human is supposed to look like. And I don't, just for anybody out there is no such thing as an unattractive cow. There's no unattractive birds. There's no unattractive deer, no unattractive lion. They don't exist. And why don't they exist? Because they developed correctly. In fact, if you make, once again, there is one example of making animals unattractive, quite literally, and that is by sticking silicone plugs up their nose and forcing them to breathe through their mouth. And the best example of that, I think, was a macaque monkey. I can't remember which monkey it was that they did this on, but they basically stuck silicone plugs up that monkey's nose And lo and behold, that monkey not only has malocclusion now, they also look way more unattractive. And you can literally see it in their face. And it's quite amazing because the face becomes elongated, which is exactly what happens today. If you haven't noticed, if you look at many faces today, what's the difference between the attractive and the unattractive face? It's the fact that the unattractive faces are more elongated and the attractive faces are more compact. That's the whole point. So once again, for anybody out there, attractiveness is literally just environmental, and you can change it, but if it's after adolescence, it will take a much longer time, from my understanding. So yeah.
Yeah, there is one more thing with the soap, because I don't even use soap for the dishes. I just use sometimes Castile soap, but that's from oils, so olive oil in particular, so it's not really that bad. However, I don't use it because when you eat raw meat, especially, you don't cook and nothing stacks on the pan. So it's completely fine when you just wash it with warm water and that's it. Like, you don't need to use any soap. The same as when I wash my clothes, I only use soda again and vinegar. And sometimes I use the Castile soap, depends how dirty it got, what I wash, and so on. But yeah, so I really want to avoid all kind of toxic things from my life. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. By the way, that actually brings me up to one other point, which is what your clothes are made out of. For anybody who doesn't know, once again, her clothes are a really good example of what you want to be wearing, as well as what this is. So, for instance, the things that I personally try to find are 100% silk, cotton, linen, wool, or cashmere are the ones that I usually get. For instance, right here, that many might have seen me wear before. In fact, I'll wear it right now just so you can see it. Yes, this is 100% cashmere. Everything that I wear is basically non-PFA, or basically non-microplastics, because I do not want estrogen affinity in other forms. I don't want it at all. I don't want phytoestrogens, and I don't want microplastics. So once again, anybody out there who wants to go one step further past carnivore and past all this stuff, I would highly recommend wearing something like this, or for that matter, making it yourself and wearing what she's wearing.
Yeah, I mean, because the worst thing about microplastics is you cannot fully avoid them in society if you live in society. So I think it's the best to just try to decrease the amount around you as much as possible, because there will always be something around you, sadly. And the worst thing about it is that as a woman, I'm going to give these part of these microplastics to my child, which is a bad thing, because you can say, oh yeah, I'll be unhealthy now, but I'll raise my child properly. Well, not really from this perspective, because the microplastics will be in your child. So it sounds kind of hopeless, but as I said, I just want to decrease it, and I hope if my children continue in this lifestyle, it will be slowly decreased and decrease until it gets to like an okay level, I would say.
Yeah. Actually, that does bring up another point. Testosterone and estrogen during pregnancy are very, very tightly regulated. And you might have guessed, microplastics can definitely interfere with that process.
But it's the same with makeup, because then when the makeup gets to your skin, it basically acts like as it mimics the hormone, so that then your receptors react to the endocrine disruptors, which are found in makeup and all other kinds of whatever it is, soap or the thing you use to wash your clothes, microplastics. They're gonna bind to the receptors, and your hormones don't go there, and they don't bind to the receptors, or they may not. So then that's the issue, right? That's why it's endocrine disruptors or hormonal disruptors, however you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, for anybody who's a little more curious about what's going on, what you're doing is basically you're preventing the binding of estrogen to sex hormone binding globulin. And not only that, you're quite literally probably also producing less estrogen, because your body sees that there are microplastics and it sees it as estrogen, and therefore it doesn't necessarily put as much of the cholesterol from that cholesterol hormone synthesis cascade to get converted into either estrone, estradiol, estriol. Depends what kind of microplastic it is that's interfering with you, but that's basically the bottom line behind how that stuff works. All right. So for anybody out there who wants to know more about Stephanie, social media stuff, what is it, or what you want to
Well,
follow?
I have a YouTube channel that currently is not really full of videos because I changed my style a bit. So I'm starting a different style, and so it's gonna take some time to make it full again. But I do have some few videos. I'm trying to release every week now, so I hope that's gonna work out also for the future. It's Meaty Bunny, Meaty Dash Bunny. That's how it's on YouTube. On Instagram, I don't really use Instagram that much, but if you want to message me or something, sometimes I do put something on there on the story, or for my life, but it's not really as used by me. And that's Meaty_Bunny, so it's similar. And that's basically it. I have all the contact informations if anyone would be interested in the nutrition counseling that I offer as a nutrition advisor. And that all can be found on my website, which is in the description of my channel, and all the contacts and everything. So yeah.
Alrighty. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it, because honestly, there were some interesting points brought up here. A lot of interesting points, actually, especially when it comes to lifestyle, her experience quite literally changing. And once again, for anybody out there, this one really bugs me. Any woman out there wearing makeup, you can look way more attractive without makeup. Way more attractive. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Pew.